Welcome to my office. Welcome to our weekly WOW, Word of the Week. Mother's Day has come and gone for another year, but I want to talk to you briefly about mothers. What one word describes mothers? One possible answer is love. If your answer is love, 1 Corinthians 13 may come to mind. 1 Corinthians 13 is pretty easy, understandable. After various descriptive phrases, the conclusion is memorable. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. We sing a song, The Greatest Command, that echoes those words. 4 different descriptions: belief, hope, endurance, easily understood, familiar Bible words. Have you considered what's the difference between love bears and love endures? What does it mean that love bears all things? When a loving mother bears all things, what does she do? The original Greek word stego is this week's wow. The word occurs only 4 times in the New Testament. Besides our text in 1 Corinthians 13, Paul in 1 Corinthians 9:12 says we bear or endure, tolerate, put up with anything so the gospel will not be hindered. That's our word. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 3, verses 1 and 5, Paul explains why he sent Timothy to Thessalonica. We could no longer endure. We could not tolerate not knowing how you were doing. That's our word. Love bears all things. What comes to your mind? An informal survey shows that many people think of being weighed down, carrying a weight, a cargo, a load. Forbear is a better translation in many contexts. The basic meaning is this, that love tolerates, suffers, endures, puts up with something. The root of the word means to put a roof over, to cover. To cover with silence gives the meaning of patiently enduring, forbearing. From the root, 3 common meanings emerge. First, to cover with the idea of protecting or keeping, to preserve by covering. Second, to cover with silence, thus to keep a secret or to overlook errors and faults of others. And third, a covering that keeps away a threat, to bear up against something, hold out, endure, forbear. A related noun, stege, appears 3 times in the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 8, verse 8, and Luke chapter 7, verse 6, a centurion speaks to Jesus and says, I'm not worthy for you to come under my roof. In Mark chapter 2 and verse 4, the friends of the paralytic literally unroof the roof. This noun is a strengthened form from a primary word, tegos, that means to thatch and thus to roof. Back to our idea of love. One more look over our shoulders at Mother's Day. My question repeated. When a loving mother bears all things, what does she do? Our word. She provides a protective atmosphere. She overlooks errors and faults. She shields from threats and evil. What do Christians who love one another do? They forbear, tolerate, endure, put up with. The fellowship of loving believers provides protection, forgiveness, and shielding from the evil around us. Love bears all things. The next time you hear or sing these words, I hope they'll be a little bit richer for you. Perhaps you will remember Stego. Perhaps not. More important is that you remember that love protects, forgives, and combats evil. Most important is that our love bears all things. We protect, forgive, and combat evil. And when that happens, we experience what it means that love bears all things. I hope these thoughts are helpful to you each week, something memorable, something to help us get through the next few days until the Lord's Day. Remember that I love you, God loves you, that's the way it's going to be. May we go forth. May we be people who protect, people who forgive, and people who make every effort to combat the evil around us, to bring other people to Jesus. God bless.